Well, to begin with, we have made a poster about the Looney Tunes, as it is very attractive and fun for children. And in addition, we have highlighted with different colors the different sound of the consonants. So it will be easier when we teach the sound of this consonant. In addition, our activities or games are aimed to 4th grade of primary school, as it is a middle grade where children can enjoy playing and also have a basic and conceptual knowledge of vocabulary. Moreover, our didactic unit will be divided in 5 sessions of 45 minutes each one. Also, we are going to work with 3 games or 3 activities in each season. Moreover, in our activity, we have created different games in order to innovate the way of teaching and also to facilitate a higher motivation for students. Also, we wanted to connect this game and activities with other subjects, such as physical education, in which children have to use their physical skills in order to develop different games and activities properly. Furthermore, in our imaginary primary class, the students have an appropriate level of English, but it's true that they pronounce incorrectly. And also, in our imaginary class, the students, there are students who are excluded, and when they work in group, disputes are created. So we wanted to play in cooperative games in order to everyone work all together.
With our didactic unit, we want to achieve some objectives. The main ones are to teach and practice the different sounds through games and to achieve a better pronunciation in English. Talking about the key competencies that we are going to develop are, firstly, linguistic communication, as the student will work on English vocabulary and reading comprehension. Digital competencies, as the student will learn through games, learning to learn, and the social civic competencies. Regarding the contents that we are going to carry out, we have, firstly, the reading and pronunciation of sounds, and reading a comic book, among others. And in relation with the curricular contents, we have based on 2 main blocks. Firstly, the comprehension of oral and written tests, and on the other hand, we have pronunciation of written and oral. The methodology we have used is the cooperative game, as it's beneficial for their interest and their motivation of learning. Also, we have used the Looney Tunes comic, as they find it easier to acquire learning in a fast and in a funny way. Not only we have focused on speaking, but also we have focused on kinesthetic aspect. It's important to say that the majority of the activities will take place in the classroom.
Well, so first of all, we are going to work in the first lesson this letter. So firstly, we will use our body, in this case our mouth, to practice the necessary movements to be able to practice the pronunciation, because as you know, it's not the same as the way native Spanish speakers pronounce English. So in addition, in this case, the teacher will hand out instructions on how to do different types of. Here we have a warm-up. So first of all, in here, as our muscles are not used to pronounce words in another language, in this case English, so for this we will dedicate the first 15 minutes more or less to do the following exercise individually and each of us in our place. So we have a little bit of movements, like stick your tongue in and out without touching your teeth. Place the tongue on the roof of the mouth and hold it for 10 seconds more or less while opening and closing without touching the tongue. Then you should bring the tip of the tongue from the mountain of the roof of the mouth backwards, and finally press the tip of the tongue firmly against the plate mountain. The second activity consists in, with your partner, you must recite this tongue twisted, and you should follow the following steps, which are recognize your partner's mistakes in pronunciation, help him or her to pronounce them correctly, write down all the words that you don't know and look up their meaning in the dictionary, and finally make another tongue twist of at least one line with the same letter. So finally we have here our last activity, which each person has to choose 3 words from the following text here. Then read them out loud, and the partners have to guess which one they are. So they should create their own phrase and make them guess which one is.
To practice the sound R, we have 3 activities. The first one is called the mystery bag. In our case, we will have a bag, and then we have 3 objects inside it: a rubber, a ring, and a small toy rabbit. The student, without looking, they have to guess the name of the object and the mystery sound that links each object, in this case, the sound R. The second activity is called thinking quickly. The students will sit in a circle and the teacher will say 2 words with the sound R. The game has 2 rules. Well, first of all, when the teacher says the 2 words, the students have to repeat it. But the game has 2 rules. The first one is that when the 2 words start with the sound R, the student have to stand up quickly. Whereas, on the other hand, if the 2 words don't start with the sound R, the student have to stay sitting down. Finally, the last activity is called What Will Be the End. So, in this activity, what we want to achieve is pronounce the sounds of the letter R and W. So, the teacher will start by telling the students a micro story containing these 2 sounds. So, the students have to continue the story, adding new words that containing the sounds. In this case, the sounds of the letter R and the letter W.
In session 3, we will practice the phoneme J. In this first activity, the students will watch the first minutes of the YouTube video of Looney in which the subtitles will be set. At the same time, they heard a word that contains the sound J. They must write it down in their notebooks. Once the time is up, the video will be corrected and paused, and when you hear again a word containing the J sound, they should pronounce it all together. In the second activity, they will have to choose 3 flashcards, which will contain words with the J. So, in teams of 5 students should produce as many sentences as possible. After 15 minutes, the group with the most number of sentences will be the winner. The final activity will last 15 minutes. There will be 3 words on the floor, each containing a sound that has already been studied in class. Then the teacher will say another word containing one of the sounds, and then the students will have to identify the phoneme and stand behind the word of the floor that contains it.
Well, the letter L can appear in different positions, so we wanted to work on it with this activity. We will divide the classroom into two groups, and there will be a poster on the wall, three posters, one of them with a word beginning with L, the second one with a word with an L in the middle, and the last one with an L at the end. The teacher will call out different words, and the children will take turns, 2 by 2, one of each group, to run to the poster with the word and with the L in the same position as the word they have listened. In this activity, we will work on speed and on speed and listening skills, and also we wanted to work on comprehension and knowledge. Well, in this activity and in this card with words written on it will be handed out, and its syllable of the word correspond to a gesture, for example, clapping. So the students have to read the index card and read the words following the gestures to correspond its syllable. And with this kind of activity, we wanted to work on reading skills and also to applying knowledge. Well, and in this activity, we will let the students to read several words. The classroom will be divided into three groups. Each group will have a die with several words which we have read in the Looney Tunes poster. So the children will throw the dice and have to pronounce the word they got it. Every 5 minutes, the students will be rotated so that all the students can go through the three dice. Sorry. Okay, in this activity, we wanted to work on oral skills and analyzing knowledge.
Finally, the last session will be a review of all of the sounds. Firstly, the first activity is called Do You Remember? The teacher will be divided the class into 4 teams, and each team will have a corresponding sound and a corresponding gesture. In this case, the letter R corresponds to whistle, the letter L corresponds to clap, the letter W corresponds to raise hand, and finally the letter J corresponds to raise right leg. So the teacher will put on a digital screen the word containing one sound, and when students watch, in this case here, the sound, they have to do the gesture that correspond to their sounds.
In this activity, students will be divided in groups, and each group will be named after one of the different characters of Looney Tunes. Each group must say a word that contains the phoneme of their character, and they will have 10 seconds for doing it. If they fail, the next group should continue.
In this activity, we will use a worksheet made by the teacher in which there is a text with free spaces in which they will have to put the different missing words which will be given to them before. For our evaluation after each session, we will first evaluate the interest and the participation of each student. In addition, the fluency, the currency, and the correct intonation will be very important in this case. The evaluation we will carry out will not be known to the students, as we want to avoid a moment of pressure, and it may also influence them in a negative way. So therefore we will simply correct them when they make a mistake, and it will be mainly practical for us. In order to evaluate ourselves as teachers, each student will be given a progress test, as you can see in the next 10, so that they can evaluate themselves. In this way, we will also know how we are progressing, and we will be able to improve and adapt them to the different needs of the students. Through the cooperative learning methodology, students critical and thinking analytical can be assessed through the activities provided by the teacher.
For the extension activity, for students who had finished the activities earlier, they should use their tablets to listen the review songs. And if there is more than one student who had finished, they should pair up and sing the song together. For the reinforcement activity, each pupil will have a balloon tied to her foot and will belong to one of the sounds studied. Each student will have to say a word with the corresponding phoneme without repeating it. If the word is mispronounced, the balloon will burst and they will have to start all over again. And finally, for the activity for SA and students, pupils will be provided with the Looney Tunes comic book, but it will be incomplete, and so a student will have to complete it with the help of the emojis. To conclude, I would like to say that doing this work has helped us to learn in different ways how to teach phonetics in primary school with different games, materials that we have been discovering while doing this task. And thanks to these methodologies implemented in the classroom, we believe that the pronunciation of the second language can be given more relevance, as in this stage is when students are consolidating their learning.